All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the economics of white oak and what I do as a very, very small scale sawyer. I mean, you know, it's like a micro sawyer. That's what I am. I mean, it's wild. I use exclusively a chainsaw mill. I don't do any bandsaw milling. One day I'd like to, but with my with where I've kind of found I can get my wood and make my money, a bandsaw doesn't really fit into that very well. So I do everything extremely small scale. Now what that means is I can only really work with certain species. I can't do anything with red oak economically. I mean, I do a lot with red oak, but I cannot mill red oak to sell or really do anything for projects other than for friends and family. The reason being, red oak is almost more expensive for me to cut than I can sell it for. And I have to find somebody that's interested in a very small quantity of red oak. You know, I might do a big load of red oak for me is 500 or 600 board feet. So follow me on the math here. I can buy red oak for $3.25, $3.50, somewhere around there. There might be a quarter fluctuation up or down, but I haven't really seen it over $4. It's maybe like $4.25. That would be about where red oak is, and it doesn't get much higher or much lower than that. If I go to cut up red oak, you know, that's great. Okay, so I've got all this raw red oak. It's unsurfaced, it's not planed, it's not jointed on one end. First thing I have to do after cutting it, I mean, that's just the start. I then have to go kiln dry it. I pay between $1.50 and $2 a board foot to kiln dry it. And if I can get kiln space, I'm really lucky. I have to fight for kiln space. I have to just beg on my hands and knees, please, can I can I have 500 feet of kiln space? Because that is such a volume business for them. They just don't want to give it to you. And I don't blame them. If I was in the same position, I might be the exact same way. So if I can get kiln space at $2 a board foot, I consider myself lucky. Now that's 50% of what I can retail red oak for. Now keep in mind too, that would be retail. If I wholesale red oak, I'm not gonna get $4.25 a board foot even. I might get $1.50 or $2. So if I find somebody that's gonna buy my red oak, they're gonna pay me a $1.50. Well, it's gonna cost me $2 to kiln dry it. I mean, the math just it just doesn't work out, and it blows my mind. I mean, it really does. And you know, you could say, well, this isn't going to be universally applicable. It's going to be different in every area, and you're totally right. But that's the way it is in my area. I have not been able to plug into any kind of predictable supply chain that's going to let me mill red oak in any way that makes sense. I mean, the way I explained it yesterday was I'm not only am I working for free, but I'm losing money. I mean, I am literally, if I were to do it, I would be paying somebody else to take red oak that I spent time and money and effort gathering. So the only way I can make anything with red oak, I can do anything with red oak, is if I then turn it into furniture for my own products and projects. So that's kind of it there. White oak, now white oak is completely different. There is such a high demand for white oak right now. 8-quarter white oak at my lumber yard is $16. I think it's like $15.96. So we'll round up those 4 cents. It's $16 a board foot. That is unbelievable. Walnut is actually less expensive than that by, 50 or 60 maybe more cents. Now 4/4 white oak is a little bit less expensive than 4/4 walnut, but you get the point. I mean, the economics are totally different. I could pay somebody $2 a board foot to kiln dry it. I could surface it, and after I do that, I still have $14 a board foot left over to work with. And even if, the buyers for white oak, we have such a demand for white oak right now that most of the white oak that you see is coming from Europe. A lot of it, maybe not most, but a lot of it is coming from Europe. So,
all right, so here she is. I dropped the top limbs off of it yesterday. I'm just coming by to measure and noodle on how I want to cut this up. It was a job. Those limbs were very, very high in the air, but you can see by the size of it, this is a very, very nice, mature white oak. My guess as far as age is this is probably 150 years old. That would be my guess. White oak grows a little bit slower, quite a bit slower than red oak. And this tree is very unique because you look how straight it is. You look how straight and not free it is for the first 18 feet. There's no branches, not a single one. And I'll show you how it fell here. I'm gonna put my coffee down. I got a tape measure, my phone, and coffee. The root ball is still attached, and all these small roots that were anchoring it in place just pulled right up. You can maybe get an idea for the slope here. So what happens is when Hurricane Helen came through, we had about 2 days straight of rain. I think we probably got 20 inches of rain, and that softened up the ground enough that when those high winds from the actual storm hit, it was significant enough to just pull that canopy right over. So that's how these oaks fall. This is the kind of tree that I end up harvesting for a couple reasons. Now, if a white oak canopies out real significantly, that's actually more stable. Those trees don't tend to fall. If the tree is very, very tall and very, very straight with no limbs on the bottom, it's not as balanced. It's very, very top heavy. That creates a lever, which is great for me because I can't do much with the white oaks that fall. And look at how high up in the air this is. I don't know, just shy of 6 foot. So here, I was up on top of that yesterday. Trim, and there was a big limb here coming over. That one was kind of tough because it leaned over this way, but then there was a branch that did a 90-degree coming over my head, and so we actually I did a face cut, very shallow back cut, and then we pulled it with the truck over because it was either that or a pole saw, and I didn't want to get out the pole saw. I love the smell. I love the smell of white oak. That's just incredible. So we got a little bit of work to do here. I think what I'm going to do, and look at the base here, how it's buried. Probably the first 6-7 feet, it's buried in the ground. I think what I'm going to do, noodling on this. Let me get a tape out. All right. Well, let's see how big it is first. I actually haven't even measured. Oh my gosh. That's 3 feet across. Unbelievable. And it's 3 feet from the inch it enters the ground. Wow. Yeah. I'll tell you what, this is probably one of the straightest, this is one of the biggest straight white oaks that I have seen in my area. Certainly the straightest and biggest that I have seen fall, as far as, I'm gonna measure out to where the first limb is. All right, so we have 16 feet before it gets to the first limb. There was a limb there at some point and the tree has healed it over. There's still going to be a big knot there, which means we have 2 8-foot logs. Let's see where 8 foot is here. Seven and 8. This is 8 foot right here. Wow. So probably what I can do right there, golly, that's actually about perfect. Huh. So what I think I can do is just buck this first section here, drop the root ball down, and then that also might give me enough clearance to then drop that. Either it'll fall over or I'll be able to maneuver it easier to get that second 8-foot log off. But this is the log right here. This is the good one. That's just absolutely incredible. This is just amazing. What unbelievable quality lumber.